Welcome back to the countdown. We're minutes away from Game 1 champion select, and before we turn our attention to that game, it's time to tune in to this week's mic check. Let's take a look.
Oh my god, my KD is so
KD
good.
everyone, as per usual.
My KD is so good. I hope that goes on mic check. So people will call me KD player.
Hello, 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 hello.
Is that okay?
Yeah. Hello, hello, hello. I'm ready to go right now.
Hello, hello, hello.
Dude, these fucking heads are so hype. I love it.
Hello, hello, hello. What is hype?
These fans are so hype, bro. Just keep them. Check it out.
Yes, no flash, no flash. TP the Eugene microphone.
Oh, wait. I'm TP. I'm TP. I'm coming. I'm looking.
Flash, I think. Okay,
Nice. My bad. Peter, I'm sorry.
Nice.
My bad. Peter, I'm sorry.
I think it's going. He's going. Go keep it. He's fine.
Nice. Oh, good shit.
Defender. Run away.
Hello, hello, hello.
Are you
Hello.
okay?
Yes, I'm just testing my microphone.
You're just saying hi.
Test it to yourself. I'm gonna give this guy a massage so you can go into the game. I'm ready to go. Go.
This guy.
Massage chair.
How many of you have Gathering Storm, by the way?
I have Gathering Storm actually.
Really? Okay. All right. Win condition. 60 minutes.
If I'm Zach, I'd need four TPs on my team to TP to every Bob, so I come back as healthy as possible.
Oh, shit.
That would be insane, dude.
End the game.
Mike Young, baby!
Hit the tower.
Shit. Holy shit.
Hit the Nexus.
Mike is smurfing in LCS finally.
Nice.
Always fun to get a listen in on the shenanigans that take place on stage. Time now, though, to highlight the players we think could make or break their matches this week. Here are our ones to watch. In Week 4, they are Fly, Pobelter, Cody Sun, Lyra, and Haunser. First up, Fly.
He's going to be making his 2018 debut in the NALCS. This was FlyQuest's intended mid laner. He did play in the Challenger Series last summer, was pretty impressive in that, and it's going to be interesting to see how he can perform now that FlyQuest is on a bit of a losing streak after last week.
Right, they had this boot camp that went very well for them. He was a part of that, and everyone was kind of hyping them up in the preseason. And then next thing you know, the visa issues and if that synergy still exists is a big question.
Yeah, had to struggle for through the first couple weeks here, but finally with their intended roster, we'll see how they turn out on day 1 of the weekend. Next up, we've got Team Liquid's Pobelter. This guy has been on a tear.
Absolutely, he's making his kind of MVP campaign. He's got everyone calling all the neighbors, let everyone know, talk to your representatives. Elect Pobelter. He's the best player in the mid lane right now, at least in terms of performance.
Is he in my district?
I don't know. You have to check.
North America, yes.
Can I vote for him?
Yeah, you can. But yeah, he's a fantastic player, having basically a career split thus far,
Yeah.
and if he wants to see if he can keep that up, and he's a linchpin kind of for Team Liquid in that mid lane.
Yep, very much so. He's got a tough task ahead of him today, though, against Jensen. Moving right along, we have 100 Thieves' Cody Sun.
Yeah, and when I look at this guy, his stats don't actually match his eye test, which is why I want to watch him so hard. 86% kill participation, 45% kill percentage, 40% of team
That damage percentage
He's
is
insane!
nuts.
But you look at the games and he's getting caught out of position or the game is going really late, so he's their main source of damage. So I still want to see a less stressful way of watching Cody Sun because you always feel like
Cody won or Cody done.
He's on the verge of making a mistake.
Yeah, almost all the
always,
time.
right? Yeah, all right. Well, another person who's been mistake-full this split, Clutch Gaming's Lyra.
He was one of the key components of why people were kind of hyped on this draft. Fabivin and Lyra, all pro team combining now to make a great jungle mid duo, and then it's just completely fallen flat after what was one good game in week 1. Everyone started hyping them up. We had that overreaction segment. Looks like a complete overreaction right now.
Our last one to keep an eye on here is going to be TSM's Haunser in the top lane.
Yeah, his GP has been best in North America. He's won almost every matchup, even though GP normally loses every matchup. He's a big part of TSM's performance last week, and if he keeps that up, then TSM has a good chance of going places.
All right, we'll continue to keep our eyes on those 5 throughout the weekend. As we go into predictions, I want to give both of you analysts the opportunity to bask in your success as you both come off of a perfect 5-0 day of predictions and 90% of correct predictions last weekend.
I've got 9 in a row. Mark actually had 8 out of 10.
That's true.
I was behind at the start of the
Mark
weekend.
is
Now we're
10%
tied.
worse than Jad, but in season totals, you guys are completely evened up. You
And
also
we're
have
gonna stay
selected all 5 of the same same predictions today. To be
I mean,
fair,
when
though,
you're hot, you're hot. I've picked 9 in a row. You just can't change them.
That's true. Jat's got to go with his gut. And I think on paper, you look at a majority of the matchups today, and they do appear to be one-sided.
Right, but there's definitely some close matchups in there.
Yeah, so I was looking at Team Liquid and C9 for potential upset. Obviously, closest
By
game
far
of the
the
day.
closest one.
Yeah.
Second one was Optic versus CLG.
Really?
A lot of people are still a little cold on CLG, and Optic is always so close to winning. I was wondering if this is the game where they finally beat someone above them. Doesn't quite look like it. A bit of a mismatch in the top side of the map.
Yeah, I'm never very confident after predictions. So
Yeah.
it's all a fake.
That's the way I want it
faking
to
out.
be. I want you guys to be second-guessing yourselves all season long. All right, about 2:30 left on the clock before Champ Select. Let me get your win conditions. Jat, you're going to be taking TSM. Mark, you're going to get Clutch Gaming. Jat, you go first.
Yeah, so I think TSM, even though they're only one game ahead in the standings, are pretty heavy favorites coming into this one. But I think the best win condition for them would be to play through the bottom lane. Looking at the way Bjergsen is playing this year, he's very good at generating small advantages on his own. And Hansar's very good at winning even losing matchups. So I think for Mike Young, farm the jungle, path around bottom lane, and it's almost an easier victory in that sense because you're expecting Hansar and Bjergsen to be able to fend for themselves, and you snowball around the bottom lane so they can make plays with the tank support and a Fed 80 carry.
All right, many paths to victory. The one with least resistance is the one through the bot lane. Mark, what do you think of the Clutch?
They have a tough road ahead of them, and for me, it's going to be win the early game. And that sounds pretty indescript, but if you look at their gold graphs, they almost never have a solid lead. I think the biggest one I saw was 800. They're pretty low down in gold average at 15.
What's a mark? Give me a benchmark, like 1,500?
I would love
at
to be at 2K ahead at 15.
Okay.
And off the back of playmaking, this is not draft Jace and a bunch of winning lanes. Go out there, do something crazy with your pathing, find a first blood, get some early roams, and work as a team to get a big gold advantage, because if you go late versus TSM, it's very difficult to beat them.
I mean, how would you expect then for that to show itself in the draft? I know you're saying you don't have to go towards the super indexed early picks, but does that suggest that Lyra needs to be on a early pre-6 ganker?
I think that's something I would like to see. I mean, if he's on, Gragas like we saw last week, that was fine. In one of the games, they had this really heavy focus on mid lane, get a good matchup, and then go for jungle mid invades. I love that idea. They just fell apart in the execution, and that's what I want to see stepped up. Lyra, please stop dying in the enemy jungle. Stop, find a first blood or two. Get one of your lanes rolling early.
And I think it is possible because I do expect TSM to draft for the late game. That's what they've done in pretty much 5 out of their 6 games, drafted pretty good late game team compositions. And they're so confident in their laning ability as they should be. They haven't really been smashed in lane in many of their games that they should continue to do that.
Yeah. All right, well, there you have it. The win conditions for both teams. That's going to do it for us here at the desk. It's time to get the day started. So let's kick it over to the casters to get into game 1.
Thank you, Dash. My name is Julian, Patriot Time Card, joined by Aiden, Zyrene Moons. We kick things off with Clutch versus TSM. Zyrene, it's going to be a big day of NALCS.
Oh, absolutely. This match, the ones following, I am completely ready for today.
Well, Champ Select should be up very, very soon, as you can see if these two teams can kind of get things going now that we're approaching the halfway point of the season.
Yeah, and these teams are coming from different perspectives here. TSM are 3-3, coming off of their first 2-0 week, and they've seen constant improvement. Their first week was 0-2, then they had a 1-1. Now they have that streak going for them, and they're trying to keep it up. Whereas Clutch Gaming, they started off pretty well, but they had a 0-2 week, and now they're trying to beat a team above them in the standings for the first time.
Certainly important for both. Here is the draft, as Malzahar is TSM's first ban. Zoe, pretty insta-ban there for Clutch. Don't want Bjergsen to get his hands on that particular champion.
Yeah, I mean, he was one of the first people to pick it up, absolutely loves it, brought it out at All-Stars, and it's pretty much been perma-banned against him since.
Still very strong, of course. TSM lining up ban at number 2 here. See what they do select, but like we heard on the LCS, lots of changes there for TSM as Galio. Kind of a newer fixture since patch 8.2, but certainly a very good champion.
It was interesting because the mock draft by the analyst desk didn't include a Galio Jarvan at all in terms of the combination, which I think is very scary for red side to pick up, and we usually see Galio banned on blue because you can take a combination of the two right off the bat if you're red.
Well, there's Talia banned by Clutch, and there's Ryze banned by TSM, so a lot of mid lane pressure here. In fact, that's 5 mid lane bans.
Yeah, but no Azir on the table just yet.
And now off the table as Clutch do take that one away. So we've seen a little bit of this, but 6 bans from the mid lane lead TSM to first pick a jungler. Sejuani actually going to be the pickup here for Mike Young.
And I got to cast TSM's games last week, and I was definitely talking a lot about how Mike Young on this Sejuani looks a lot better than the Kha'Zix, the Shyvana that he was playing, and it usually fits more compositions generalistically, but you always have to give something up for that on the other side of the map.
I think in general, people remember Mike Young's rookie season, lots of Nidalee, lots of Lee Sin. Sad to not see such a young, talented player off those kind of carry-style junglers, but hey, the metagame says pick tanks. Sejuani's one of the best, as Gangplank and Ezreal actually the pickups here for Clutch, so haven't seen Apollo play Ezreal in quite a while, despite the prominence of the champion.
Yeah, I actually thought the Gangplank would be first pick here for TSM because Haunter, he's played it 3 times. Solo has also played it 3 times, but Solo simultaneously also doesn't have a very good CSD at 10, and you want a lane that you can bully, and that's why the Nar's coming out there as the counter.
Solo, though, still certainly performing in the damage share. Gangplank does a ton of that once he ramps up mid and late. But we'll see what happens here in the mid lane. Nar pick for TSM, Haunter's counter pick there in top side. A blind pick Syndra here, though for Bjergsen is tempting Forbidden into an assassin.
Hold on.
A lot of discourse here.
Nope.
All right, it's going to be Corki instead. Forbidden teasing the audience.
Oh, assassins, bring them back! But Fevin won't be the guy to do it today. He'll play the Corki. When you're going down that mid lane tier list, the Corki does pop up. And was also kind of a Syndra, I would say, soft counter for a bit, where you can build Hex Drinker as a second item after the Trinity Force. You can rush, some magic resist pretty early on and shut down that Syndra. But talking about the Syndra for a quick second here, one of Bjergsen's signature champions, I would say, harking back years to when he started his career.
Certainly does, as Tristana, the ban there for Clutch, starting to take away some more bot laners, maybe lining up Apollo and Hakuo to have a really dominant 2v2. That's kind of what they were known for last year. Have continued some of that style here in 2018 spring, but haven't quite had the same success as jungle ban there for TSM. The other premier tank jungler taken as Zac now off the board.
Yeah, and if they want to continue that, the Jarvan would be the next one that I would say is on that list. And it looks like Clutch Gaming really pinching that AD carry role, potentially going for something like Varus for Apollo and having a double AD composition. But Clutch are looking for, or sorry, they have the Ezreal already. I always think he's jungle when he's in the jungle. I controlled myself there a little bit.
Hey, maybe. You never know. It could be some sort of Ziggs jungle Ezreal situation. Never say never.
I do like that they took away a lot of the mobile AD carries, which then forces Sven to take something into Gangplank. And if you're playing something like a Varus against Gangplank, the ultimate really does shut you down and makes it so you can't contribute to a lot of the fights. So I'm watching Solo's ultis come these team fights.
First pick support here as well, of course, for Clutch in phase 2. Jarvan was the ban, so nice prediction there. But again, taking a very strong 2v2 lane, or at least one of the more aggressive supports that Hakuo can try and get pressure with. TSM, though, will be knocked down a few pegs as far as bot lane goes, but unless massive shenanigans are on the horizon, should be pretty straightforward picks here as Xayah locked in. That probably means Rakan's on the way.
Yeah, Xayah Rakan, I would say, is a very potent combination here.
Yep, no Alistar available, but of course they pair so well together that you generally want to take them both.
Yeah, the Alistar would enable you to kind of engage and go for turret dives, but I feel like Xayah Rakan already does that as a combination while increasing Xayah's damage, because Rakan will get extra range on his E to snap back, so he's a little bit safer and doesn't have to fully commit to the turret dive when he fishes for one.
Well, see what Clutch's last pick is here. Looks like Lyra needs a champion. It's going to be Skarner! I hope you're watching, Captain Flowers. This one's for you.
Oh, Skarner's been coming out ever since he got a buff to his E, where the cooldown went down, but it's also a 1.5 second stun instead of just the 1 second stun. So there are some combinations that you can do some people dirty with, where you just stun lock them, E, R, and get your second E off, where you keep them locked down for almost 4+ seconds.
It is a lot, and again, strategically just thinking about, where TSM looking to get things done. Syndra, kind of immobile. When you get flash on, it's kind of tough. Xayah, great escape, but if you're locked in, stun for, 3-4 seconds, it's going to be pretty tricky to get away.
Yeah, it's funny because we're focusing on the Skarner pick because he was just locked in.
Because it's awesome.
But I feel like at the same time, he's kind of just going to be this scout that runs around. His laners don't have a lot of tankiness to them. They don't want to engage. It's a lot of touch-and-go poke team fights with Corki, Ezreal, and GP. So Skarner, I don't think, is going to get too much of the action, especially when there's a Syndra to knock him back, a Gnar that's going to slow him from getting in, a Sejuani that's going to do the same, and then you have Rakan and Xayah that can avoid, dip, and dodge out of the way. So I don't think it'll be Skarner's, happiest debut here
Not
in
a
the
track
NLCS.
game, is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
It's going to be a little different. All right, we'll see what happens here. But Lyra busting out a fun one here as Clutch looks to get a win over TSM. TSM batting 500 as they move into this week. Clutch a little behind them at 2 and 4, but still lots of room for both these teams to pick up key wins.
Exactly. TSM surging right now with their 2-0 week. Clutch, though, coming off an 0-3 losing streak, but they played the top 3 teams, so now they're trying to take down TSM to stop them climbing the standings.
Well, certainly a pretty interesting point of tension, but we're on to Summoner's Rift in very short order. Ooh. All right, so teams are going to move out here. TSM kind of throwing it back as far as like composition goes. We talked a lot about how things have changed for them. Cyrene, as far as looking at, you know, the style that TSM looked to adopt last week, what do you think of this composition kind of married to that at all?
I think that what Clutch Gaming did in Champion Select is really good because they pinched down Bjergsen's champion pool, and then they got the gangplank for themselves because TSM had a stylistic shift last week where they had been focusing kind of all over the map, but then they really decided last week in week 3, it's time to focus the bottom lane. Their jungle proximity went from 10th in terms of jungle plus bottom lane during weeks 1 and 2, and in week 3, it jumped all the way up to 1st. So they definitely camped the bottom lane, and Clutch Gaming getting the GP is going to kind of stop that, where you always have to think about that GP ultimate. As you can see at the bottom of your screen, in the right-hand side of it, going from 10th to 1st was huge for them, and that's how they won those games. And Jap said it on the analyst desk, play through bottom lane is kind of the way that TSM should approach this win condition, and Clutch Gaming kind of saw that coming.
I think so as well, so we'll have to see how it shakes out as a 3-man invade begins. Bromskan and Ezreal actually pretty good, but it will be a 3v3 here in the jungle. No vision though for TSM.
Oh, but they capture the Spire first, so they get vision, and now they're flanking.
They are going to get it. Poly takes some damage, but Lyra actually busting on in. Oh, Flash actually forward. Poly flashes out. Mithy tried to make the play with a W, now going to get run down by Lyra. Hakuo also running interference. MikeYoung though does get a buff, but he might get himself stunned up. Flash over the wall. He does get stunned, but makes it out after burning the summoner.
Ooh, so there's 2 summoners blown there, but one, hold on though, the W does so much damage.
Around a little long, perhaps Hakuo though trying to make it done at level 1. Apollo that gets back, knocked back up. He's going to go down. MikeYoung swoops back in for the first blood, and now Hakuo going to get stunned up with a level 2 red buff Sejuani. This is a disaster for Clutch.
That's 2 kills to TSM, 2 minutes in the game.
It gets worse
and they're
as well.
going to stop.
Yep, Mithy also re-invading. MikeYoung still level 2 with the red buff. That's going to force Lyra off.
And now they're just doing a perfect counter here from the side of TSM. They are shutting down Lyra, shutting down the bottom side, and playing to this big win condition now.
Well, they heard Mark Z win the early game was the attempt, but execution was off here.
Don't know if they get a check mark from Mark Z on this one. The invade, like we said, is pretty good to go for, but it's the aggressiveness that they aren't expecting here from TSM. The finish here on the red buff, I love it from MikeYoung. The 400 damage from Sejuani passive plus smite simultaneously means Lyra can't even contest it. But then right here, Sven and Mithy go, wait a second, they're face checking this, and Skarner went the other way, so it's not a 3-on-2, it is a 2-on-3 that does not favor Clutch Gaming checking the push.
And you can see Lyra was kind of walking down there, but had to turn all the way back around. Already knows at this point it's too late, and TSM collect 2 major buffs and 2 kills in about as many minutes.
And that shuts down the jungle and shuts down the bottom lane and really does help out TSM. You can see a Cole purchase for Sven now off of that gold and an early Tracker's Knife for MikeYoung, who's already gotten a back in here, but it hasn't delayed his jungling. Normally you back and you're like, oh, I'm down in terms of experience, but he's still level 3 to Lyra, who's just hitting level 3 now.
Yeah, again, kind of talked about some of those jungle changes, letting you do this a little bit more. Well, losing a major buff is going to really put a dent in your early jungle speed and experiences. We'll have a check-in finally with the other side of the map. Haunter and Solo going head-to-head. Haunter right now doing kind of what you expect, bullying the early Relic Shield gangplank, as Mithy once again going to check for Lyra. He's going to find it.
Still level 1.
Rakam, but going to W away. Lyra's like, yeah, I'll chase you. Stun lands in. Lyra with his own red buff as Vivin roams down. MikeYoung though, he's level 4 for Vivin though. Going to try and cut him off. Mithy, and remember, no summoners from the early stage with the heal down there from Bjergsen. Should be enough to save his support, but the CG bot lane roaming up as well. Lyra forced to back off the play though. TSM with a good defense.
A great defense there to help defend. The flash was Mithy, and remember he's level 1, so he doesn't have E, he just had the W, and that also gets Lyra's flash there and Febivin, so it adds a little more insult to this whole injury of the early game that's been really affecting Clutch Gaming.
Yeah, Clutch again staying aggressive. We'll see if they can keep this pace up. MikeYoung gonna look to re-invade here, try and find Lyra, because again, he's just so strong after those first few kills.
Yeah, and if he doesn't find Lyra, he still gets to put down Tracker's Knife wards. And this is actually really interesting here. The Sejuani, we've seen her, hold on, pathing towards the bottom side.
Yeah, spotted already, but Hakuo a little too deep. Gonna jump back in. Guardian procs on Apollo, but MikeYoung gonna look to move in. Again, knock back in. Hakuo forced to flash away. Gonna make it back to the tower, though, just barely.
Not able to root him up there on the end, but that's still going to be the flash out of Hakuho. For no summoner spells really burned from the side of TSM. I guess the Ignite came down. Well, you're seeing a lot of summoner spellbooks here. I was going to touch on the Sejuani one here, because normally you see Fleet Footwork or Aftershock for her, but it looks like he's just going for more flashes. which is not something that you normally see on Sejuani's.
No,
Not a huge part of your combo.
Conversely, Lyra also has the same, but that makes a lot more sense on a champion like Skarner that can be quite ult-reliant.
Yeah, exactly. It's the flash ultimate from Skarner that matters. For Sejuani, flash Q isn't really as impactful as you would say like a Gragas body slam flash. So Gragas takes Spellbook. Sejuani really wants the attack speed and fleet footwork movement speed, which in a situation like that, he would have been able to kind of chase down Hakuho after the flash by having the extra movement speed from fleet footwork. But Mike Young, it seems like this Spellbook, I want to see what he does with it.
I'm ready for a Sejuani teleport, but we'll have to find out shortly as Solo actually going to TV back to his lane. But Hornster again applying that pressure. Early Shimcha Solo should make farming under the turret a little bit easier, but still taking pressure as Hornster should soon take his own back, pick up those items, and look to continue his pressure. Here in the bot side, though, we already saw the early level 1 disaster. Apollo is trying to keep things afloat, but he is woefully behind in CS. And Sven, even with that lead, is, like you mentioned, stacking it up with the call also.
Yeah, I want to see how much Kleptomancy will be able to help out Apollo in this bottom lane, because the Ezreal is supposed to have that to kind of push him further in matchups, but now it's going to be to help him even catch up to Sven, who also has a cull, so he has extra gold income on top of it. So as we approach the level 10-ish area, I do want to see what the gold looks like if all things remain the same here.
Clutch do have double Klepto to lean on right now, though. Sven and Missy just getting aggressive here on the bot side, pushing this lane.
And there is an Infernal Drake right now. So it's very important, and I expect TSM to play to this bottom side of the map here with the advantage that they have. Get another back in, spend all of that gold, and get those extra combat stats, which we're seeing from Sven, up against a tier from Apollo just now. So I would expect this to be the next move that they make in the game.
Looks like things holding stable here in mid as well. Bjergsen, I think as expected in this matchup, getting a little bit ahead. Solo burns the ulti pretty early here in topside, though.
Yeah, that has to be for a wave clear to potentially join his team or something, because you really want that for a Dragon or for a bottom lane play. But now TSM are going to have free reign over this area with no teleports up top and no way for these top laners to really affect that bottom side of the map.
Mike Young already level 6 as well, invading for this blue buff. Looks like Forbidden maybe going to get it. Smite from Lyra, actually forced to take it himself.
Yeah, that's one of those ones where you feel as though I have to secure this just so Mike Young doesn't get it, but it takes away from your mid laner. So, you know, the TSM invade second blue buff strategy is still alive and well.
Bjergsen actually, again, great spot into Forbidden. Damage back down. Played a lot of Syndra, knows that ultimate probably wasn't likely to kill. And Lyra, they're going to take his red buff again. At least he got the XP, so he's actually about to ding 6 with double buffs and flash back up. So Lyra's done a nice job catching back up in CS where he can. We'll see if he can make an impact on one of these lanes.
I wonder which one he's going to go for here, because the flashes are all back up for all of TSM. So the Skarner flash ultimate would have to come out very quickly. See if it does. And I was also going to touch on Febiven's build here. There we go. There's a Null Magic Mantle. But he got the Sheen first, which doesn't help him out at all against the Syndra. Now he's building some items towards it. And Lyra looks like he does want to try to restore the balance in the bottom lane.
Makes sense as well. It's the other lanes that Gankta has CC to help you really lock somebody down, but a little tricky to catch Xayah at level 6. Mithy, they're going to get the knockback up. Dances back around, and now they know Lyra is here. Nice little bait almost, actually, from Mithy.
And when we talked about in Champion Select that Lyra probably wasn't going to have a great time on this Skarner, didn't know it was going to go that way level 1.
No.
But now, as he's level 6, it's still going to be very hard for him to find a way in onto these guys, because think about a hypothetical situation, he goes in on mid, Bjergsen has Scatter the Weak, Febiven has no gank assistance, so it's all on the Skarner to make these things happen, as his laners aren't really going to be able to help him set up. And TSM's laners have a lot of disengage or ways to get away for every single champion.
Yeah, and again, Mike Young, he's also got plenty of CC, and he's level 6, so maybe he'll start ganking, although right now he's just kind of getting the farm going. Lyra, I think, just again consolidating back into his jungle, going to make sure to take his right side camps away. And again, if this holds, look at the CS leads for TSM, we'll just kind of keep building. Bjergsen, natural 20 in the mid lane ahead there, and bot lane also the same for Sven. So far so good. Even Haunter actually building up that big lead. I mean, I think in some ways all these are expected. These matchups are pretty good for TSM for the most part, but certainly Lyra would have loved to have a lot more impact.
Yeah, and it's going to be so hard for him to find anything in, like we've said multiple times. But this bottom lane, this mid lane, and this top lane are just CS advantage across the board. There's the ulti.
Bit of pressure there. Syndra going to unleash that power, but Forbidden's like, not too worried.
I feel lied to, because all the things I read about Syndra just, she presses only R. Brought him to half. That's probably the weakest Cinder ultimate I've probably ever seen. For some reason, that one seemed really... Assassins need buffs. That's what's happening.
Seen in a while, certainly. Looks like that non-magic mantle is helping out. So Bjergsen again, still with the blue buff. Remember, Lyra took the last one after the pressure from Mike Young. As Rift Herald going to get started here. TSM looking to take that first big objective. You mentioned Infernal earlier. Still not seeing any attention, but Mike Young, I think, playing to the strong side. Both these solo lanes are pushing here. So pretty easy take.
Yeah, the fact that the Infernal wasn't capitalized on with the way that the lanes had been going and just the large advantages that had been built up, it feels like TSM are playing more that slow style that we had seen them play in the last few weeks. Instead of being hyper-aggressive with their lead, they're just taking it slowly in a calculated manner, trying to find an advantage to build on top of this one. Because we saw those first 2 kills come out at 2 minutes. There's been nothing in the 9 minutes since.
Yep, they already got a lead, so they're just going to sit on it for a little while longer. But Solo actually going to TP back here to his lane. Fade's already done. He's getting there on the items as far as GP goes. Haunter, they're going to also take a recall.
Yeah, I really like the Relic Shield adaptation that came out where you get 15 gold with Kleptomancy every time you hit them. 10 from the Bandit passive, and then 5 from Kleptomancy. So every Q that you pop off on somebody, instead of farming a minion, you just go for that extra little bit of gold there, plus harassment. Because normally you had to pick between the two, right? CSing a minion or hitting a champion. Now you kind of get to get that gold and deal damage to the champion. So kind of get to have your cake and eat it too.
You mentioned that Infernal. Looks like Clutch actually did a nice job clearing vision out around that Drake. Don't feel confident just yet with the bot lane shoving to really go and take it, but might try something here. Could be tough without Solo's TP, although he does have ultimate ready. But Haunter actually walked back to lane, I think expecting Clutch after seeing them there on some vision that they might be looking for this Drake. In fact, TSM are pretty aggressively moving to this side of the river and starting to clear that vision back out.
It's that fight over the Infernal Drake right now. Just posturing, trying to make sure that you put the enemy in a worse position while approaching it. So it's the fight, it's the vision fight.
I mean, credit to Clutch. I mean, you'd think after the level 1, you'd say, okay, that's it. No more fun for the next 25 minutes. Let's just farm up these lanes and kind of get things going. We've got Corker, we've got 2 Kleptomancy solo carries as well between Ezreal and Gangplank, but they are making moves, trying to get things going. Forbidden finally going to get himself a blue buff as well. I'm willing to fight if TSM give them an opportunity.
Yeah, I would say, all things considered, the way that that early game went was pretty terribly, especially for the jungler in the bottom lane. But Clutch Gaming has not had anything really happen and have been keeping vision up and preventing stuff. This looks like a 4-man mid with Rift Herald coming out for TSM to try and make this happen.
Yeah, Mythic is playing up. That's going to force Forbidden pretty far back. Actually, Haunter there as well.
5, yeah.
6v2 potentially in the mid laner. Shelly going to finish this turret off. Nice little siege there. Very simple turret take as that bonus gold goes over as well.
And that's kind of what TSM were able to get with that Rift Herald and the pressure that they got. Instead of it being the Infernal Drake immediately, it ends up being that middle turret. So it does pay off with a gold advantage.
Damage again back in onto Sven, tagged by Winter's Bite, but learnt their lesson from level 1. Not going to go into that one with Mike Young also just behind his duo lane. Credit is also in the mid lane to Bjergsen for getting pressure under that turret. That turret damage didn't happen on its own. That nice little move, and again, TSM just saying, you know, we've got a lead. This is a pretty simple spot. We can try and open up the map and the gold lead for ourselves, and they'll just continue coasting on forward. 2,000 gold up and counting. Clutch still holding on and farming things out for the time being.
Yeah, right now we see that the top lane is actually favoring Solo ever so slightly by about 100 gold, but then across the board, it's in favor of TSM, especially in that AD carry and that mid lane, your 2 main carry roles.
Kind of really highlight the power of Relic Shield and Kleptomancy though, given the CS lead that Haunter has built. You wouldn't think Solo is the one ahead in gold by a few hundred. So they've been also looking for a roam play onto the blue buff. Gonna throw the bomb in, not gonna steal it. Bjergsen instead gonna get that buff. Nice attempt from Forbidden, but didn't have any vision, so gonna be a tricky steal. Still building up though, Forbidden. Took a stop by the Hex Drinker before the Trinity Force, but shouldn't be too far off that first major item. Bjergsen also getting things going with Morello plus his own Sork Shoes. And again, things just holding pretty firm. That Infernal Drake's still around there as Flowers weighs in. I'm glad he's excited.
Absolutely, but right now, Clutch Gaming.
Yeah, actually a rush here onto the Infernal Drake. They know it's being taken. They saw the package trail over that ward, but not fast enough. But Mike Young does not want to check this haphazardly.
And this is Clutch definitely contesting in this game right now. Able to kind of circumvent what happened in the early game, not let anything else happened, cut off the bleeding, and now they've got themselves one of those big major objectives. And the Infernal Drake looks like it's the next Drake as well here. So double Infernal would definitely help them out. Whereas TSM, they're looking at those turrets.
Yeah, these turrets are really injecting early gold here for TSM, and it's going to be a lot harder to take that next Drake. Given that Clutch are going to have significantly less space to work with. There he goes, Ben, getting that last hit, gets some extra gold. Still, that gold lead starts to build up. Clutch, I mean, they've been confident in making moves where they can, but they don't want to fall so far behind that the mid game just feels untenable.
I feel like right now Clutch are looking at power spikes that could come out, because the way they got that Drake was Sven, Mithy, we had a lot of TSM backing to get their items, because we have Morello's and Sork shoes done for Bjergsen. We have Essence Reaver and Ninja Tabi for Sven. Whereas Clutch Gaming, they're, we saw 800 gold down on their mid laner and also their AD carry, but they were like, we have to get this now as they're back, because as soon as they're back out on the field, there's no way I can fight against an Essence Reaver with a Sheen plus the tier that we had on Apollo. Whereas now, they're looking at when we get Trinity Force, when we start getting Manamune, they might be able to contest a little bit more, but they're kind of taking the scraps that they can get or finding some openings like the Drake.
Yeah, and again, good to have that confidence as Haunter just smacking down barrels with his orders. That tower will die in the next wave. Solo already knows with Bjergsen's pressure that he can't be there.
Down bottom, though, we have 4 people from Clutch Gaming on their way. Lyra's over on this side.
Half of Solo is ready to join as well with the ultimate. Also, he could TP if he felt like it, but Clutch not going to press too hard there in the bot lane. Again, when you make a mistake when the lane's this open, things can go really well if you execute, but if you don't, you're likely getting chased down your lane and killed. So Clutch, I think, being appropriately careful, but again, you just can't afford to fall too far behind.
And this is always something that you get to kind of retro, where you're like, was that something we could give up? Because in the moment, you have to realize what you should give up, what you shouldn't contest, and it's very difficult to do so. And what you shouldn't contest as well is also a very big point. And Clutch Gaming, I think right now, like you said, Pastry, are being pretty cautious with how they're playing. And they're giving up a decent amount, but they're still finding their own openings. So.
Yep. Trusting in the scaling, but 3 turrets to 0 is not a good look as the game gets longer and longer.
Yeah.
And if they take it, the gold lead pretty much evens right back up. But if you don't get these turrets all game, you just start to run out of options so quickly.
And like I said, you get to retro it, right? And you get to go, oh, was that something we should have given up there? Is this enough? And we get to kind of ask that question now and pose it, and we'll get some answers later, of course, of, ooh, should they have given that up, shouldn't they? But I really like what Clutch have been doing so far, because they're just seeding the map, saying Corki has this absurd power spike later. We also have this Gangplank, and I think the scaling does favor them ever so slightly on Clutch Gaming's side. Whereas TSM, they do have to rely on the burst coming out.
Great time to check in actually overall with some items. Trinity Force is done for Gangplank and Corki, and 2 items now as Apollo is stacking up that Manamune. On the other side, 2 items for Bjergsen, Black Cleaver done for Haunter, and that first major has been done for Sven for quite a while. So power's starting to level out just a little bit here. See what happens around the next major engagement. Don't forget, Infernal Drake is up in a couple of minutes.
We have these big power spikes, like you said, like the Trinity Force, but it still looks like TSM. They're piling on these items where you have the Leandries, plus the Morellos, plus the Sork shoes, where this gold lead now for Bjergsen is almost 1,000, and it's above 1,000 for Sen over Apollo. And so they're doing incredibly well against their other carry counterparts. And when that Infernal pops up in 2 minutes, and the Baron in 1 minute, we'll see if TSM try to use those items and push that advantage.
We can already see how they're doing that as well. Again, all this map pressure is courtesy of a very good-looking gold lead, 4,000 and counting, almost 5 now actually, as Bjergsen and Mike Young team up to steal that red buff. I mean, Haunter has been, I'm pretty sure, on his opponent's side of the map for like 80% of this game as they were a combo in mid lanes on it for Vivian. Gonna try and cleanse out of the way, flashes out from under the Sedge ult, and Solo commits his ulti as well to try and stop that bleeding. Huckaway there, but TSM just take the cooldowns and run away.
Yep, Febiven has that cleanse, most likely more for the Sejuani, but he used it there on the combination that Rakan was bringing out, and then didn't have it for the Sejuani follow-up and flashes immediately afterwards. So we'll see what they're able to do with it, because like we said, Baron's almost on the table. Infernal Drake up in a minute. Not having those summoner spells on your mid laner is huge.
I think priority certainly has to be for this first Infernal as Hakuo and Lyra are looking to chase down Mithy. Not going to get it done here though. Again, tower's still in the way. Don't think Clutch really want to look for a dive just yet. So instead, they'll push the lanes back, try and buy some time as the objective respawns. And with any luck, if they can buy enough time, they might actually clean out the river here next to this Drake to try and take it. That could be a good way for Clutch to really bolster their scaling as they move through this game.
It does kind of end up in a really awkward time because 30 seconds, you usually go, that's not that long of a time. But in League of Legends time, it's a very long time. You can back and walk all the way back to the dragon in 30 seconds. You can hear those battling cries. It's just like the vision battle in the game.
Well, Vivian, so far so good as he clears that out. Clutch are set on taking this Drake by the looks of things.
Yeah, it's the easiest thing for them to get. Baron would be a huge commitment. And this will double on top of their Infernal. And they also have the package. So Febiven does have a lot of pressure. And without having those summoner spells up, the package will kind of help him, even though he doesn't have flash.
Yeah, it's like an extra summoner spell for a minute. As Clutch do start up this Drake, but TSM, yeah, they had this prepared already. Looks like Clutch are not interested in sticking on the Drake for too much longer. TSM going to force them off the objective.
Solo doesn't have Cannon Barrage for another 7 or so seconds here. So he'll be able to affect the bottom lane in just a moment. We'll see if they turn around as that cooldown comes up.
Kind of a tricky spot again.
Lyra's not going.
Force them off, yeah.
Lyra's not going.
Oh my god, Apollo! Steals it on the Ezreal!
That is huge for Clutch Gaming. They need that extra AD to compete with the gold lead that TSM has. Apollo with the save.
And a rough spot for TSM to lose the Infernal Drake after such good preparation. I think Clutch had pretty much resigned themselves to saying, you know what, I want to fight for this, but we just can't afford to, and Apollo just steals that out from under TSM. Haunter here roaming down, Lyra threatening, but
waiting for that first Skarner ultimate. Who's the target going to be?
certainly want to pick the right spot. Mithy, again, I think just trying to coax Lyra into an ulti because he does have QSS built up very early. It's actually basically his first completed item in this game.
And he's going to be the guy diving in, right? And Mithy's already swapped out some summoner spells, too. He had Teleport, said, all right, didn't get any use out of it, swapped it to Ghost now. So he may be one of the people going for those engages and trying to get in and out. But with the QSS, makes it so he can't be snatched up and kidnapped.
Well, watch this one again. Apollo, how did you possibly steal this trade?
I mean, you can see Lyra's like, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I'm out of here.
Someone else has got to do it. Apollo steps up here with Febiven. Oh.
Just snipes it out with a two-shot barrage and Clutch, a 2 Infernal lead in an otherwise tricky-looking game. Still 3,000 gold down, but a godsend there for Clutch Gaming as they try and hold on through this mid-game. TSM going to turn their attention over to the left side of the map. Red pings there onto the Baron. Certainly an option for the teams to start looking at as Hornsat transferring his power down now with a Frozen Mallet completed as well. Going to take the red buff and continue his 1v1 efforts versus Solo, who does have a Ghostblade. Kind of patched together 2 decent items, but Nah should certainly, with the red buff, have that 1v1 pressure. And again, Haunter, he's back to pushing Solo towards his turrets.
And Haunter had an incredible last week. He got gangplanked twice, had 2 very great performances, and he's been kind of one of the primary carries for TSM, even back at Worlds, where Bjergsen's kind of been almost a secondary carry in the face of Haunter, who's had a lot of those high damage percentage games, a lot of the ones where he's carrying, and Bjergsen's been more of an enabler for the side lanes. But this game, with the Galio, the Talia not on the table for him, he's kind of had to play through mid, where they got the Rift Herald and tried to open him up to go to other places, but the map is just wide open, and TSM haven't been able to get much from the map since then.
Yeah, not yet at least. Again, building up a good gold lead. They have so much space as Clutch still trying to find that first turret. TSM back towards the top side of the map again, wanting to make sure that Hordes is getting that bot side pressure going so that TSM can at least threaten the Baron. Apollo and Hakuo farming in the safest place they can find, which is this mid lane, but do not want to face check Syndra stun. Apollo, though, taking some safety measures, does have a QSS already.
I like Lyra with the Righteous Glory here. Fast Skarner, gonna try to grab somebody, bring him back fast.
Oh, an ulti there as well. Smooth moves from Lyra.
He wants the Spire, get the Spire.
Gonna move back towards it. No, Mike Young instead gonna jump in. Oh, good stuff from Bjergsen following the flash. A little too much damage here. Lyra forced to burn that stopwatch. GPL down as well. Mithy pretty low, but the combo completes. Mithy though does die for the trade kill. Mike Young dead as well. Braum passive working overtime as Haunter cancels the ulti. Bottom left of your screen, you can see Solo was prevented. Didn't use the TP. Haunter actually canceled his as well.
Haunter cancel his. Solo will have his now, so TP advantage for Clutch Gaming. Also, 2-for-1 fight in favor of Clutch, and they have those double Infernals, which is going to help them out a lot here.
Solo only has one way to cancel that TP, and that's by killing Haunter. Ponte didn't die, so he chose to stay and fight there. That, I think, gave Clutch enough of a man advantage to take those 2 kills and actually maybe take the mid outer turret as well. Of all the things that are going to push you back into this game, that could not have gone much better for Clutch.
Absolutely. The fact that they get that fight will get them their first turret of the game. And now they're sitting in a really good position, despite all of that stuff that happened in the early game at that level 1. And the fact that TSM have had control of all 3 lanes in terms of CS the whole game. But now we're seeing a bit of a comeback here, especially for Apollo.
Everyone just kind of ramping up. Clutch do have good carries to lean on here between the 2 marksmen and the gangplank. Hakuo a little far forward, going to get spotted by Mithy. Winter's bike going to miss. TSM forcing onto this Baron. Apollo, where's that ulti at?
They're walking away. They have
Apollo
that
senses it.
Lyra doesn't have flash.
He senses it also. Now he knows the bad news. Apollo, oh
can
no.
he do it?
Oh
Yeah,
no.
No way.
He's going to try to get through the barrage. All right, they wait. Mike Young
He went
sniped
in.
it.
He went in.
Little too far. Apollo's like, I'm trying to get some kills.
They back away. He scared him.
All right, well, that works at least for TSM. They do take the Baron off the table. Oh, a little more patience from Mike Young that time.
Yeah, there were a few backs that had to come through there. Lyra was looking to back. We saw Hakuo was looking to back as well. We're going to look at that one fight that Clutch Gaming won. One more time here. The stun lock onto Lyra, followed by the Hourglass. And Mithy's is taking so much damage here, but then he gets blown up. And then the stun afterwards, the Braum ultimate doing a lot of work there.
They're almost like, fine, stop annoying me.
When your team loses the fight, just better to cancel the TP.
That's true, actually. Timing's probably off there for Haunter, so sticks around in the lane. For Vivian, though, sneaky, taking that top outer turret.
Yep. Package helps him have that confidence to go for that split push. Now has the rapid fire cannon as well to help him siege those turrets.
Yep, much like a regular marksman, Corky, look for those 3 items to really get things going. He's got a Hex Drinker, which is nice protection pegged with those Merc Treads, but looking for something like a Static Shiv, likely as that 3rd item to join the RFC and the Triforce.
I wonder if it'll be Static Shiv or if he's going to go for an Infinity Edge here, because he does have 2 Infernal Drakes, so Infinity Edge would help him out a little bit more.
You are correct, that was the one I was more likely thinking of. Gonna take a while to get there, costs a lot of gold, but hey, there's a reason Corky scales so well. You invest enough gold into him and he starts to really hurt.
Got to get to that point though. Clutch Gaming looks like TSM, have to say.
Starting to press the pace a little bit more. Quick just pop from Mithy, gets a charm onto 2, but just enough to try and carve out an advantage around this turret. Gonna take one more wave though by the looks of things. Baron Cannon is trying his darndest.
And Fevivin on the top side is trying his darndest to equal up those turrets, try to get one back in exchange. And this will be interesting because we're seeing TSM go from the bottom to the mid, maybe looking at that Mountain Drake as soon as they're done using this Baron buff. So Clutch Gaming kind of have an idea of what the goal is here for TSM in the next few minutes.
Yep, towers go down, stun onto Hakuo, diving again from Mithy, and might get blown up once more. The Glacial Spinner gonna pop in with a knockoff, and Apollo grabs the kill. Oh, Lyra flashing in, he wants one, he's gonna drag him back in! Bjergsen stunned down, pops into stasis, but goodbye Bjerg, solo with the kill!
Mr. Sting, yo girl, Lyra grabs Bjergsen Syndra, pulls him all the way back. That's going to give him map pressure, and this might be the 3rd Drake for Clutch Game.
You tell how much Garden we see. I was so excited for that first ultimate.
I know, it's like, get him, boy!
Well, they got to carry, and again, using that Skarner to punish as Clutch win another small skirmish. Back onto Drake number 3. It is time for a mountain.
Wow, and so Clutch Gaming, it'll help them get a little bit of that gold back, but now their combat stats, their sieging potential, they are scaling. We talked about it, Pastry. Clutch Gaming scale just a little bit better with their carries.
Not just a meme, it could be a reality here for Clutch, and that gold leader stayed so stagnant in these last 5 to 10 minutes. 2.5 up for TSM, still ahead in gold, but it's just starting to matter less and less as Clutch gets stronger, and I think maybe more than that. They're just finding good spots.
And I have to say, if you're playing in one of these games where your level 1 just goes to hell, and then you start having fights like this later in the game, that does wonders for the mentality of the team. Mithy blows up again, and Lyra's like, I gotta get him. Grabs Bjergsen, pulls him back, gets the stopwatch out of him as well, and they pick him up right after.
I mean, there's just nothing Bjerg can do there. Braum passive was on him, Skarner already grabbed you. You were CC'd for far too long to get out. Bjerg bought what time he could, but does take his first death here as Clutch again. 3 Drakes and yet another Infernal.
But it was a tricky situation because what happened was, we saw Sven flash away, and then Lyra's like, no, I'm gonna get you. He goes on Bjergsen, who still has flash. In that situation, you expect that he would grab the Xayah, who doesn't have ulti or flash, but he grabs the Syndra instead, and Bjergsen was not expecting that and couldn't flash in time.
Yep, Lyra, again, nice sense there. He's actually got a cleanse instead of a smite right now. Was apparently very determined to get that grab.
I actually wondered about this, where like you don't have anything on the map to really smite contest. No Baron, no Dragon, because you just got it. Swap it out for TP, Ghost, Cleanse, anything. And I love this from Lyra.
I mean, you know, store 2 shards when you need it. Just swap 2 over, TP into that Baron pit, and seal it up. We'll have to see. This will be fun to track here.
Ooh, fun fact.
Skana.
Did you know?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, you know the one I'm going to talk about. So what happens is if you flash and you have smite, what you do if you have 2 shards is you change your smite, you change your flash over to something else, and then you change your smite into flash, and you have flash immediately back up if you have 2 summoner shards. So Lyra could go for something like that, where he gets his flash immediately back for another kidnap.
Have to find out. Certainly a lot of options. Part of the reason why Spellbook has been such a fun rune to track.
Never seen anybody do that though. Like, you can do that where you get your flash instantly back up if you have your other summoner spell off cooldown.
Well, again, Clutch just kind of riding this lead, getting even stronger. Solo actually just quietly has crept to 4 items. He spots Haunter there. Ooh, Barrel, not going to connect, but it's going to slap Haunter. Haunter's like, yeah, this isn't great for you. Solo's like, all right. You win.
Yeah, that's one of those ones where you got to damage check him. And then Haunter also has to go, I don't know if he's just dumb and doesn't know the damage, or if he's got somebody there. And the answer is, he does have somebody there.
Yep, Solo, not quite big enough for the gear check just yet.
If he was watching, I'm pretty sure he saw the Relic Shield share gold with Apollo.
Apollo's like, hi, I'm here, I want this turret. Haunter's like, I want out of here. I'm getting chased down for Vivian, actually, the next one. Haunter hops onto his creep wave. So does the True Shot Barrage, but Clutch may get this turret. Actually need to wait for the wave, so by the looks at this counter pressure, gonna have to let it up.
Yeah, but now they get to go towards the top side of the map, which already has this damaged crit, and control this area here. With Baron being 1 minute on the table, these wards you place down, you don't have to swap them to the other side of the map, and they're definitely going to be worth it.
Yep, Solo, excuse me, did stick around, takes the turret, finally evening the outer turrets back up. TSM still up 5-3 in total turrets, but the map will be looking a lot better here for Clutch.
It's a 1,000 gold lead for TSM, and I would say even then, they aren't really in the lead because the double Infernals gives you so much in terms of gold at this point, and the Infinity Edge completed for Bebevin, so he is definitely rocking a lot of damage now. You can see 296 in the bottom left corner there.
And we already saw, you know, in the few exchanges we have had, Clutch's damage is no joke, even onto the tanks of TSM. So for Bivin, can really keep things moving forward. Apollo also is kind of a scrappy little build, but it's a good amount of damaging utility for what he needs right now. And Gangplank will only get better as the game goes on. Solo actually now with his own BF sword, so could be second Infinity Edge on the way.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of great items come out here. I see what Haunter's doing as well. We've seen some Phantom Dancers come out. He has a Zeal item on this Gnar. Phantom Dancer helps you in the 1v1, but it looks like he might be going for Adaptive Helm as well for Corki. So he has kind of a patchwork build right now, and since he's at that 6 items with all those kind of components filling it up, we'll see what they're able to do.
Young finds one, Charm combo, Bjergsen able to take down Lyra. Hakuo blocks a lot of damage, but he's forced to flash away. Solo in the mix. Gets the ulti down, Sven takes a big barrel. This might be actually Clutch moving forward, 4v5. Ult lands from Apollo onto Zen for a bit of extra chip damage, but can't quite seal that kill.
Yeah, they chunked out 2 key members here, so Sven's going to have to find a way to get some HP. Haunter is going to go Mega, though.
Lyra does have a smite. I wonder if he has a shot.
Lyra's dead, so he's off the table right now.
Only for 20 seconds. If he's got a shot, he might TP in
here. TP with, well, I don't know. That's going to be a while, though.
We'll have to see. 15 seconds till he's up. TSM has started the Baron, sitting at about 50% health. Stun from Bjergsen keeps out Hakuo. But Forbidden laying the damage in. No vision in the pit here for Clutch. Forbidden gonna just try. No, he can't reach out and sense it. And TSM take Baron number 2.
Yep, that's their second Baron, but there's 40 seconds on Infernal Drake. Lyra's gonna speed cart himself down to the bottom side. And like I said, 30 seconds takes a while.
Last Drake of the game as well, don't forget, before Elder Dragon is on the table. Can you imagine a world in which Clutch would triple Infernal? Grab that Elder as we watch this again.
Yep, no cleanse anymore for Lyra, so he just gets comboed down. And Mike Young survives because the Gargoyle Stoneplate gives him a ton of HP after completing that item and activating it. So it's not that same repeat where Mithy or Mike Young, the engagers, get blown up there because of the items that they've been able to pick up.
I wonder if Clutch maybe had something there. Infernal Drake is up. Clutch gonna rush it maybe?
Well, Haunter, meanwhile, pushing the top side, actually hasn't transformed. There's the TP.
TP's in. Here's the rush. Clutch, though, back off at TSM. Look to start the fight.
Yeah, Clutch don't have much of a front line. It's pretty much Lyra and a little bit of Hakuho here, whereas TSM's front line is a little beefier, so they get to push up.
Clutch don't need to opt into this if they don't want to. Hakuho takes a lot of damage just from Syndra spells.
Yeah, that's his shield down too, so he won't be able to block the Syndra balls for a teammate.
Have to wait again, trying to get that ward down.
Sven is going to go for mid priority here with Haunter. This is something that he does on G2 all the time. I remember back even when he faced TSM, he started to do that, and they're threatening it.
Can't see him just yet. Might even be a flank here as TSM
There they go.
dive in. Again, ulti out. Hakuho isolated by Haunter, going to get dodged into the wall. Glacial Vigilante pops the exhaust. Moving over the wall, going to try and take down Haunter as Lyra looks to get the ulti down as well, but it's just too much CC. Sven having to take down the Skarner solo though. Getting the damage done. Clutch's carries are so strong. But Lyra dead. I mean, they can't contest the Drake. Oh! Gets sniped by Haunter's boomerang.
The Airy to add on that final tick of damage and take him out.
A Clutch. They fight for that last Drake, but they don't get it. TSM finally take one away. And Sven, like you said, he's already in there getting this going, so this turret's gone.
Yep, Sven loves that, playing for the map there. As soon as we saw them kind of dance for that dragon, he's like, I will threaten mid. But then him and Mithy came around and changed the fight and the layout of it. So Clutch Gaming had nowhere to run.
Good barrel chain from Solo, but he can't get poke damage down. Not enough to save that inhib as TSM will take that one down. And Sven even going to add insult to injury. Goodbye, red buff. Melts away.
Take everything that you can on the retreat. Now Clutch Gaming, they're going to have to do damage control here. They didn't get that third Infernal, which really would have helped them out. This Baron buff has a minute left on it, so that'll be about one more push for TSM as they all make it to the other side of the map to try and buff up these minions.
Well, we have talked so much about Clutch and their carriers. Important to note that TSM, while I think scaling-wise, yes, there is an advantage there for Clutch. It's not like TSM can't pick these later fights. Don't have the front line or damage to really get things done. You kind of said that Clutch don't have much of a front line. They've got a couple things here and there, but really relying on the raw damage output. TSM, great front line, especially with Mike Young getting so tanky on the sedge.
Yeah, and for Clutch Gaming, because they don't have a lot of those beefy frontliners, the Skarner and the Braum are not kind of your premier tanks. You know, they are tanky, but they aren't really, made to soak a ton of damage. They have to kind of focus on what their position is in these team fights before they happen, because TSM will also play those touch-and-go fights, and your engage has to be very clean, especially now that Sven has a QSS for himself. So you will not be kidnapping that Xayah in the near future here. And Bjergsen would probably be the target for Lyra.
But I think he learned his lesson from last time. We'll see what happens here in these next few engagements. TSM, though, again, just trying to keep pressure up. Big neutrals have reset off the map. So just want to play for vision here with these super minions helping out that perma priority for these next few minutes. Again, Haunter, plenty of threat here in the 1v1. Despite how many items Solo has, still working on that final one with the IE, at least what I assume is an Infinity Edge. But Haunter, again, is able to keep the waves up. This is one of the big advantages on why Nara's been so popular. You're a good team fighter when you're in Mega Narcom, and you're a great split pusher when you're in Mini Nar.
There it is, the IE is completed there for Solo, so he is at that 6-item build. More Haunter is right now.
Execution, though, going to be the big one. TSM take that top tier 2, 7 turrets to 3 is Clutch. Going to give that one away. Haunter getting chased down a little bit, but Solo not able to continue all the way down the lane. TSM looks to reset. Again, still waiting for those big objectives to respawn here.
And this is how it becomes difficult to close these games out. You'll get fights like this, but I like Mithy's flank here. You see Mithy coming around the side, jumps in, kind of cut off Lyra, and then Lyra gets picked up there. They are not expecting Mithy to come all the way around the top side of that fight to try and make something happen. But watch Apollo here, hit by Scatter the Weak, gets out immediately, but then the boomerang and the Airy.
Pesky Airy able to get that kill. There's Baron up in a minute 50. Let's see if TSM can take their third of this game. Stand advance, but also don't for Haunter, so he is filled up on items as well. In general, inventory is pretty much full on both sides, so going to be looking again to see if Clutch can really just find a team fight that works for them. They found some good skirmishes, but 5v5 has kind of belonged to TSM.
Yeah, this is an interesting game state right here, because that middle inhibitor will be coming up shortly. The Baron is on the table in a minute and 20. But for TSM, closing the game out doesn't look like it would come from something like a dive, more of a siege type situation against this team. And for Clutch to get back into it, they're going to have to take some sort of fight here. And I feel like they've scaled to that point where they really don't have too much more to build Thebevin would just have to complete the Maw after he now has his Void Staff for the penetration. But other than that, there's just tiny bits of items to build up. So Clutch Gaming, they've scaled. We talked about we need to scale. They scale, and they're at that point now.
Really just is shoot the right people. And Clutch has just not found a carry except for that, again, those few exchanges in the jungle.
But Clutch do stand a very good chance in this game still because of the fact, like I said, TSM really do have to find either a fight or a force down, and Clutch kind of want to have those fights at this point. It just comes down to execution. It's not one of those games where, hey, Jack's a split push and we have no answer for it, right? This is one where team fighting is going to be king here between these two teams, unless there's a collapse or a pick on a side laner, but it hasn't been the story of the game, and it would be a shift in game plan for these two teams.
Yep. Elder Dragon also up in a minute 5, Baron up in about 15. As Lyra transferring back over to that side of the map. Doesn't have a snipe right now, so may need to go back and change that out. Or maybe he'll just cleanse in for an engage. There's an engage on to Hakuo, ulti out from Mike Young. Lyra again still looking. Gets rooted though, but holds onto that summoner spell.
There's a lot of damage that was dealt to both Hakuo and Lyra. We talked about those frontliners. They have to be healthy for these fights.
Monster also getting pressured down. Inhib is back from mid. So Clutch have a pretty even playing field to try and contest this Baron on, but again, contesting without a smite really just means you're looking for a fight. I think Clutch realized that this Baron's probably not going to do that much for us if we steal it. We just really need to decisively win a team fight.
Yep. 5 people all in the mid lane right now for both teams, but 2 for TSM on that Baron.
Maybe the plan all along was have Apollo try and steal it, but even he
dropping.
doesn't have his ultimate. Yeah, Baron I think just dead at this point. Hakuo looking for a miracle. Oh my god,
it!
Apollo! A missing shot this time! Steals the Baron out from TSM. Who needs a jungle as Irene?
Lyra's like, I'm taking Smite off my bar because we have another jungler besides me. He's stolen more objectives than Lyra's even been there to contest. Apollo really saving Clutch's butt this game.
It was him all along.
Whoa!
As Solo starting to really demonstrate just how much damage this GP can do.
They've scaled. 100%. They've scaled.
Well, can they win a fight decisively? Well, be the question for both these teams.
Bjergsen had to back right there. Mithy is already like half HP. He's recovering a bit there, and the Elder Dragon's on the table. So there is this small window here where they've shoved for mid priority. Bjergsen is not there just yet. And they're looking for a pick.
Mithy, one more auto. Oh, barely dodges after that last.
Lyra wants him.
Lyra, he's looking for somebody. Gonna get rooted. Cleanses out. Guardian pop for Hakuo. Oh, they're onto Solo. Kind of a wasted CD, but Mithy gonna jump back in. Little too far forward. No, he hops down. It's Forbidden. About to come back with a package. There's the ulti of the Mike Young. Tank down. As Apollo gets the kill. Now Haunter in the front line as Bjergsen slays Lyra. It's chaos in this team fight. 3 for 1 though in favor of Clutch. They lost their jungle, but they didn't even have a smite.
Yeah, 2 for 1, and Mithy almost drops as well.
Both teams lost their jungler.
There's no smite. That's it. Doesn't matter.
They got Apollo, it doesn't matter.
Lyra wasn't gonna smite it anyway.
And there you go, Hakuo. See, the bot lane's got it all today. Clutch secure another major objective.
And that is huge for them. You think back to the Infernal that they got from the trade of the map. The second Infernal. They have 3 elementals empowering this, and right here, one more time, we gotta give this up for Apollo. The Sun God himself. What is happening? What is happening?
36 HP was the margin that smite was missed by.
It's a 900 damage smite. He got it around 960, goes down, and then Q gets it. Right here, Lyra's just threatening an interesting angle, forces them into a corridor, and then Mithy really forces this engage. And then Mike Young goes forward, Lyra says, oh, you messed up, grabs him, suppresses, the stun comes through, and then Thebevin, I loved his package there because Haunter looked like he wanted to get a piece of that fight and pushed him a little bit out of the way and slowed him, so that was the second kill for Clutch.
And now Baron's still up for a minute 10, Elder Dragon on for a while longer than that, and Clutch taking in a turret. Tier 2 now dead in mid lane. As Clutch looking for maybe one more fight to just take this game and steal it away from TSM, like all these neutral objectives.
I don't know if I would even say steal besides those objectives. They've played that early game fantastically after everything that went wrong could go wrong. That's one of those games where you want to say go next, but they stuck through with it, scaled up, and now the gold is almost even, but Clutch Gaming have way more stats right now with both of the neutral objectives.
Yep, double Infernal plus a Mountain with the Elder Dragon makes things pretty trivial when it comes to taking these objectives and champions down.
And Mike Young, taking a page out of Lyra's book, Smite for Cleanse, says there's nothing that I'm going to want to smite here, swaps it out.
Well, not going to help him with Skarner ulti, but certainly with everything else.
Might help when Malzahar ulti, you know.
That was bugged, I think. Doesn't seem to work.
Frag game support, you know. Anyway, sieging mid.
Yeah, Clutch actually trying to break the mid inhib open for themselves here. Good wave clear though here from TSM, defending nicely. Baron's not going to be up for that much longer.
Solo on the bottom side of the map though. Has a wave to kind of push in, but like you said, Baron buff falls off now, and Zelda Dragon only has a few more seconds on it.
Solo already got a turret though, 5-7 now as the things start to even back up.
If these two team compositions are kind of built to throw arrows, throw bombs at each other, instead of having these full-on engages. Only really TSM with Mike Young and Mithy are the ones who can force these engages very cleanly. And that's so much damage onto Mithy.
Yeah, Mithy just not that tanky. As Apollo fishes for more damage with his ultimate. Will be back up shortly. This Clutch with no buffs empowering them. Will back off from that push. So no inhibitor taken down, but still a lot of damage done as they fight back versus TSM in the late game.
They've been cleaning that top wave. I mean, there's nothing left for him to really buy. He has that full build. Now, it just comes down to these wave assignments. The team fighting again with all those neutral objectives off the board.
Well, Horn's going to move himself forward. And again, TSM just know that if a few things are broken a little differently, this game would already be over. Instead, this Clutch have really just been fighting back, and we'll reset this map once more.
And this is a huge match for both these teams. Clutch Gaming, they've lost their last 3, but they played the top 3 teams, the teams that are tied for first right now. And so this gives them a foothold in the standings. They get to climb up, they get to tie TSM, have the tiebreaker over them slightly, whereas TSM need to show that they're finding that consistency. Like I said, had an 0-2 week 1, then a 1-1 week. Then they went 2-0, and now we're looking at them right before their match against CLG tomorrow, up against CG. And CG, without the L, I gotta say, not that CLG.
Gotta be careful.
See if they're able to win.
Minute 30. Elder Dragon a long time away after that first one gets taken. But looks like Solo is just still on his mission in that bot lane, applying pressure, knowing he's got the map advantage. TSM just trying to find one of these carries. Clutch have so many good options as far as DPS goes.
Yeah, but these teams are not built to dive, not built to force the issue at all. Like I said, it's really just Mike Young and Mithy. And Clutch Gaming, they kind of have to wait for TSM to start an objective or get to an objective first themselves. Instead of sieging turrets, they really can't get too much damage off on it, despite what you would think with a Corki being able to kind of hit it from range. But hasn't happened.
No, not yet. Again, TSM in that last Baron push demonstrated that their wave clear is quite good, but do not worry. If TSM aren't alive, it's very hard to defend your turrets, and Clutch will end the game in short order at this stage. To be fair, so will TSM. This game has gone on a lot longer than you probably expected if you tuned in just for that level 1. 48 minutes, and we are going to have, I believe, a 4th Baron on the table soon.
Gotta watch for something creative here from these two teams. Feathervin, I think he has the package now. It just spawned, so he picks it up 20 seconds before the Baron comes online.
Leo back with Smite as well.
Is it
for this fight, but it'll be a little easy for him to try and take it.
Back to a North American classic, the ARAM.
Chilling out mid lane. Oh, damage on a Hakuo. Unbreakable. Mike Young with a good ulti. Hakuo flashed
He lived!
over to the Raptor Pit, and now in there as Mithy dives through. Leo though taking up quite a lot as Hakuo does ult. Haunter back. He's trying to dive in. Mike Young goes down. It's kind of well used, but Leo dead as well. And now Haunter trying to poke over the wall. 4v4 as both junglers die.
It's just 1-for-1 with both junglers, so no smite. This really dissuades you from wanting to do a Baron. So CG, they're going to go straight down mid. We'll see if their mini wave gets cut or anything like that. But right now, it's just an even state.
Certainly cutting them off right now. TSM, though, no, they don't want to threaten too much. Clutch instead will force the minions down the mid lane. TSM forced to go the long way around. Bjergsen did get blue buff as Clutch. Maybe a fade back here towards the Baron area. Apollo's like, yeah, I'll get this. It's fine. It's totally fine. Instead, this division likely being cleared out.
Yeah, Clutch Gaming, they're...
Okay, I'm wrong. They're doing it.
They didn't need Skarner Smite all game. What thinks they need it now?
Dead. Haunts had no luck in stealing it. Clutch are going to book it out of the way.
Wait, how's Solo get out?
Solo's like, all right, he doesn't. That's the answer. Dead to Bjergsen.
I feel like you didn't think that completely through. Let's just get over the wall after. Guys, I'm gangplank. Oops.
Maybe, but watch this one again.
Yeah, Clutch, love this. Engage on them, reset the fight afterwards. You see a lot of QSSs, a lot of cleanses come out as they flash away, and then it's the re-engage. The GP ulti for the slow, and then Apollo and Febivin, when they get space, are able to reassess and retake the fight.
Yeah, the tanks just don't last forever, even though Mike Young Sejuani is extremely tanky over a long enough period of time. Clutch's carries are just too strong. It's now 50 minutes through this game. TSM looking to maybe pressure back into this mid inhib. Solo's up in 23 seconds. Another ult from Mike in onto Hakuo, but he's going to live for a bit. Again, still going out. So much damage being thrown. Glacial Fissure looking for it. Finds a couple, but he dies to Sven. Just couldn't go back fast enough there.
Yeah, they didn't have Solo because of the shenanigans in the Baron pit. And Hakuo, they had to use so much to chase him down and get him. But with the Baron buff, this will just be getting some turrets and some waves here. Thinning the wave. I like that from Apollo.
Yeah, I mean, his ulti doesn't do enough to take it all down, but certainly needs to buy some time here. Solo up, though. Might just ult it. Oh, damn. Bjergsen doesn't quite chain those barrels together either. Turret's going to fall here by the looks of things. TSM just stays strong. Inhibitor still up here. Clutch should be able to defend from this point onwards. TSM, though, still back in there. Hakuo up in 25. TSM, again, they can't make a mistake and go too far forward. If somebody gets pulled by the Skarner, even the Sejuani will die.
Yeah, we had to talk about like the games that these guys have been having. Sven still deathless and so hard to catch, right? He's approaching these fights appropriately, whereas these frontliners, they've just taken a beating, right? Both Mithy and Hakuo with 2 deaths, and then Lyra with 5, and Mike Young with 3. This is just one of those brutal games where the engage is usually on the enemy frontliner and you're playing front to back, but nobody ever really reaches the back. The backs just go, okay, we lost our front, time to walk away. So we haven't had huge team fights where 5 people go down to have the game end because people can just back up.
Exactly, that's the reason it's still going on. Teams have been very close in these engagements. Clutch on the offensive for a minute longer with this Baron.
And it's hard to continue the engagement after it happened. You have one snap engage, your CC comes down, and then your chase down for both these teams is not that high.
Clutch still getting aggressive here. Elder Dragon up in 45 seconds. Gonna sync with that Baron falling off. Clutch, no, okay. As far as they're concerned, this is the way. They've iced this game. Taking that Elder Dragon again and just winning an outright team fight. Lyra's gonna need Smite again, perhaps. He's got the cleanse swap back over.
Is he, though?
You know what? At this point, I'm convinced they just don't need it. As Clutch trying to get vision around this Elder Dragon pit.
Okay, but from an actual analytical standpoint, he should have... but here's the thing. He should have Smite if they actually intend on doing the Elder Dragon before a fight.
What if it's a bait? Solo caught! Again, protection. Hakuo with a great defensive ulti. In the middle is Mike Young taking a little too much damage.
Mike
getting low. Lyra pulls him in again for Bivin. Takes him up to the flash, goes down. TSM scares. Oh my god for Bivin. Snaps down the carry. Sven takes it out. Bjergsen, though, shuts him down as the mid lane is just going at it. Haunter still trying to go, but Bjergsen shut down by Solo. Haunter, he's the next one. That's going to be 4 deaths on the side of TSM.
And that's dead for 60 seconds. That might be game for Clutch.
We talked about one fight. That might be the one they needed. Clutch looking bot lane. Do not be fooled by the Elder Dragon. There's the ace from Solo. We're going to try and push down bot lane.
They're trying to go for bot lane. Solo says, okay, I'm not going top. It's useless. Push bottom, help the team, end the game.
Watch the wave in mid as well. Super still there pressuring for TSM, but it is 30 seconds till Mike Young is up. He's the closest one ready to respawn.
This is one of those moments where I wish I had timed back in the day. How long does it take to get to the base, drop these turrets? Because TSM, they may respawn just in time.
Well, we'll have to see. Again, they're face checking for a while. The tank's still good enough, but the mini wave is finally here. Race is on. Mike Young up in 10 seconds. It hit melts. It's going to be close, but I don't think it's enough here. How Clutch are Clutch Gaming?
They got a lot of damage.
Gonna take this first Nexus turret down. Mike Young up in 2 more seconds, but Clutch gonna go it all the way back. Yeah, just defending, going for it. The Nexus is there. Clutch Gaming gonna take the marathon versus TSM.
An insane game from Clutch Gaming to bring it back. That level 1 looked like it was the end right off the bat.
What level 1's, Irene? History is written by the winners. At this point, Clutch like, that wasn't great. It was actually pretty bad, but at the end of the day, they trust in their scaling, they trust in their synergy, and they pull out a win.
And they take down TSM, match them in the standings, and break their losing streak.
And oh boy, it's such a different game than I think we expected. I like the early game pressure and clutch, but that went south swiftly. And from then on, they said, you know what? We know what we have to do. We have strong carries. We feel confident in our ability to build up our strength in this game and win when it matters, when it is so late. And you said it, Irene, that one ace ended the game.
The ace ended the game, but we have to talk about Apollo. Apollo, oh my God.
Dealer of Dragons.
I don't care if people are saying like Lyra's slumping. Apollo is just like ascending to the heavens, to Olympus.
I got you, he says, stealing 2 crucial objectives, an Infernal and a Baron. And very happy about it, as expected. That was a thrill fest.
That's one of those situations I'm like, oh yeah, they're going to get this Baron, no problem. Steals him. It kept them in the game critically multiple times. Having that extra Infernal really helped them contest lanes with that gold disadvantage they had. And I have to say, Apollo played out of his damn mind.
Yeah,
today.
I mean, again, Ezreal, not a champion we often associate with Apollo. He's played it quite a lot historically, but recently he's been favoring more of the Varus, more of these aggressive style champions.
The Wiz Fusion.
They wanted to do that again, right? They wanted to keep playing their aggressive style. They even had Lyra in at level 1, but when that didn't work out, they said, we've got a great mid laner on a carry champion. We're confident in Solo's damage ability despite his laning maybe not being that strong. Clutch's game plan, I mean, the early part was messy, but the rest of it looked really good.
Yeah, and it was kind of the most unexpected of games because TSM, though they were playing through the bottom lane last week, didn't get to do it this week with the GP being selected from Clutch, but then that level 1 happened, and then Clutch just played defensive until the team fights played out where the frontliners die and the backliners have to find a way to clean up or survive.
Well, we're going to need a breather, so let's send it over to Overly and Clutch Gaming's boss on the barrels.
Thanks, guys. I am here with Solo. Congratulations on your win against a TSM on the rise, no less. How confident were you and your team coming into this game?
Well, we were feeling pretty good because we had like a really strong week of practice. So we knew if we just, played confidently and played well that we would be able to win. But I mean, they played great as well. It was just like one of those games where it comes down to like the last team fight, and we did it perfectly and we were able to win.
Where would you say, what do you think was the point in which you guys turned it around? Was it that last team fight?
I mean, to be honest, like Apollo like bailed us out over and over again with these crazy Ezreal steals. It was unbelievable. So I think, we got really fortunate with those, and that's really what like swung the game.
Now, Coach D-Lim talked a little bit before the game, talking about how he wanted you guys to showcase your improvements against TSM today. What do you think that Clutch Gaming demonstrated today?
I think we showed a lot of resiliency because we definitely had a non-perfect level 1, and we fell behind really far early. But I think we stuck with it, and through some like lucky plays and through some positive plays of ours, we were able to like come back. And I think that type of resiliency is something we're working on this week.
Now, this is the first time that I've gotten to speak to you since the season started, and I wanted to check in and ask, how are you enjoying and fitting in with Clutch Gaming so far?
I mean, it's great. I have amazing teammates and amazing staff. I'm having like a great time, and I feel like I'm improving a lot. So I couldn't ask for anything more.
Thank you so much for the interview. Congratulations again on your win, and let's hear it from the analyst at the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Ovely. A huge win for Clutch Gaming to move to 3-4 against TSM. But if we're being entirely honest, this was an ugly game from both perspectives.
Hated it for the most part.
I mean, Clutch Gaming is going to be, as you can see, Solo, they're happy with the win, especially when you're 2-4. You're going to take it after a good week of practice. But the level 1, the fact that Apollo had to bail them out that many times, the fact that Skarner existed in that team comp against that team comp was baffling.
Yeah, it's literally a kite comp where you have GP, Corki, and Ezreal all pelting away, and like Skarner, or you could take Gragas, who works with a disengage and can engage, and is good into a mobile carry. So I don't know. It was a very weird game all around, just in terms of the draft. And then, like Jat said, as soon as you got into the game, it did not become more clear.
Questionable draft. Let's get into that level 1 though, because to be fair, Mark, you had talked about wanting to see early action, so you got it.
And this is a good idea. You have Braum Ezreal invading on a red buff, very good for poking people off. They split up, things start breaking down a little bit, the smite goes off because now Lyra's with Apollo, and Mike Young's able to get this and get out. And then the big problem here, as Irene pointed out in the cast, was they did not go out together. Lyra breaks up to the top side for some reason, leaving these two to try and run through Xayah Rakan, which is difficult enough to do. And then Mike Young can also come and provide backup. So just a horrible played level 1 that I liked the idea of.
Yeah, just, again, Lyra was one of our ones to watch. He tried to get on the board. He tried to pull out a new pick, but we didn't like the amount of disengage that TSM had. And then, like, why even start the blue? They're going to be able to stop. He didn't end up losing that much time. And after this is where I can give Clutch credit in the fact that they didn't die anymore, right? Like, a lot of teams, after starting 0-2, will desperately try to get back in the game.
Right.
But they kind of remembered who they're playing against. Like, TSM hasn't been clean at ending games.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, like, you have, like we said, these 3 passive laners for the most part in GP, Corki, and Ezreal. So they're fine to just, like, as long as we don't keep dying and start racking up neutral objectives, because honestly, TSM's objective control was horrendous this game. And it allowed them to grab those double Infernals on a team that's going to become late-game scaling threats.
Yeah. And even the second Infernal that TSM lost there, even though it was stolen, there was an opportunity, in my opinion, for Clutch Gaming to kind of rush that one, too. So I was very disappointed in TSM's lack of vision control in the river when they start with that bottom lane 1. And Infernal's the first Drake, and you don't actually control it. The first one is completely uncontested by Clutch.
Right.
And to be fair to TSM, like, they kind of took a risk that they would be able to end the game early. They tried to take all 3 outer turrets, deprioritize Drake. It's actually something much more common in Europe, whereas Ven and Mithy are very familiar. So it was
Trade gold
I think that
for
was
the
a Mithy
Drakes.
call. Like, keep the pressure, give the Drake away. But they couldn't close, and it really cost them.
To be fair, you know, the objective control issues were not isolated just to TSM. We saw 2 Barons get taken in the face of Clutch Gaming, but then the third one, Apollo, once again coming up big to keep his team in it.
Yeah, I mean, Solo's absolutely right that Apollo, in some ways, won them this game. Mike Young doesn't want to make the mistake of losing the Infernal Dragon of not smiting, so this time
he throws the smite out. You got to give him credit for the attempt there that time around, but
smites early, but
the Ezreal Q steals it. That gives Clutch an incredible amount of team fighting power.
Great
on top
Ezreal
of
Q,
the already
like,
late game
good
scaling
steals,
comp
but
that they have.
You got to block the Q, you got to smite properly, and then these fights did kind of just end up going to Clutch. It was difficult for both teams to initiate cleanly. The pull onto Mike Young was the proper pull there by
this
Skarner
damage
at the end. And
from Febiven.
Febiven's got Gathering Storm on Corki 50 minutes.
yeah, so he blows up Sven. That's really where the fight goes wrong. A lot of the time, it is, like we said, a really difficult team to play for both sides because there's not much engage for Clutch Gaming. Skarner's awkward in there. But on the side of TSM, if you don't get onto any of those 3 huge backline members, just fighting front to back is still risky because you will keep getting pelted by all these ranged skill shots of Clutch Gaming. And here's just clean up, Solo chasing down those extra kills. He had a fantastic performance all around.
If you're sitting in TSM's camp and you're looking at a gold graph, man, you have your head hanging low. That is not the type of game that you want to lose.
It's common, too, this year for TSM that they've lost games in this way. You look at the Echo Fox gold graph, it was plus 10K. You look at the Optic gold graph, they're also plus 10K, and it went to 60 minutes, and now you have this one. So definitely a lot to work on for both teams. For Clutch for falling behind in that way, and I think the Skarner pick didn't make any sense in that team composition and didn't work. They won because of Apollo in this game and of the late game team fighting, which they were very strong in.
Now, I don't bring this up to poke fun, really, but only to establish that right here on the outset of the day, when the 2 of you agreed on all 5 of your predictions, already we're going the other direction, right? And again, it's not necessarily to say that, oh, haha, you're wrong.
And listen, Dash, watching this game, I would predict TSM again before it because the way it opened up, the way they won all 3 lanes by double-digit CS, the way they should have, in my opinion, been able to take Drake.
Right.
Clutch clutched it out for sure. Like they earned this victory by stealing the Drakes, staying cool, winning late game team fights. But I don't think if they play that 10 times, they win more than 6.
Well, there you have it. Jad said it best. We're stepping away, but when we return, Team Liquid and Cloud9 battle it out for the top spot in Game 2. Don't go anywhere.
Hey, I don't care about my KDA.
I don't care about winning the game either. Or